Okay, today we're going to start Tzaddik, which is 95a. There's the Mishnah here. We thank Hashem that we're able to learn every day. It's supposed to have a learning we shall place in English immediately. So that's like this. Mishay Nasti Beis Nashim. Person is married to two wives. That means that he owes two Kesubos. Now, all the property that he has has a lien on it because the wives will want to collect the Kesuba. So, Umachar Sadeyo. And he sells one of his fields. And he sells all his fields. His field. Well, make a difference. The Kasur Rishona Lelekeya. Now, the first wife tells the purchaser of the goodness of her heart, says, you don't have to worry about me coming to take away the property from you, even though I come first. But I'm not going to bother you. And she writes that you're not going to have to take me to, I'm not going to take you to court. I have no claim against you. So what happens? There were two wives. So Hashniya Mitzia Melekea, the second wife that never wrote that, will go to the Lekea purchaser and take away the property. Because she also has the rights to that property. But Rishaina Minashniya. Now there were two wives there. Two wives. So one of the wives, the one that comes first, of course, comes her document precedes the other wife, so she could take it away from the second one. Why do you have the property? I was never paid. My document, my Kesuba came first. Okay, so once she gets it now, once the first wife gets it, so now now the purchaser goes to the first wife and says, you told me that you were going to give it to me. So the purchaser takes it out. And it goes in a circle. Because now the second wife goes to the purchaser and says, well, I never said that, so I get it. So then the first wife goes to the second wife and said, but I come first. And then the purchaser takes it away. And this will just keep going around. She asked the Pshara until they figure out how to make an agreement. The same thing would apply to a Baal Chayv. The Gemara is going to explain also where there's two purchasers. One of them wrote to the Baal Chayv, to the creditor, that I'm not going to bother you about the field that you. One of them wrote to the creditor, I'm not going to bother you about the field that you take, but the other one didn't, and it would also go in circles. The Gemara starts off the chikas falei my hobby. What's the difference if the woman told the purchaser that I'm not going to bother you? I have no claim against you. What's the difference? For Tanya, we have a brisa. When we had this before when it came to partners. The person wants to get out of a partnership. It's not enough just to say I have no claim against you. That statement, I have no claim against you, doesn't mean that I'm giving you everything, all my rights. So what's the difference that the woman said this? By a partner, it doesn't work. Here we're talking about where they made a kinyan. She did some sort of acquisition that shows that she's giving up her rights. The Gemara says, what's the difference if she made a kinyan? She can always claim that I was not doing that willingly. I just didn't want my husband to be upset with me. Why? The husband was selling a property. She wanted to make her husband happy. So she tells the purchaser, don't worry about me. In front of her husband, of course. The husband hears, he says, oh, what a good wife. So, but she doesn't really mean that. She's just saying that to make her husband happy. After which she says, you can't hold that against me. I was in the presence of my husband. That's what I have to say. So, I think so. Yeah. And Milay Tanan, did we not learn in the Mishnah? Lakach min ish, if someone purchases something from a man, then because of lakach min isha, And then he goes ahead and he makes sure that the woman agrees to it. He purchases it, the same thing from the wife, the same property. He just make sure that the wife agrees. And the rule is mechay batal. Right. Now, the Gemara in Bava Basra that quotes this says that over there it's talking about the properties that were specifically designated for the wife's ksuba. So he's really getting into trouble. He's looking for a difficult property, and then he's expecting that when the wife says, "Yeah, it's okay, fine, I'll agree," she doesn't really agree. Passed away or divorced. Passed away probably. Oh. Yeah. So Alma Yecheli Hishataimer Nachas Rachas Yisrael. If your wife could say that, and she can get out of the sale by saying that she never really intended it. It wasn't intended fully. Amar Abzera. We're asking, how do we understand our Mishnah if whatever she does doesn't work, doesn't help? Amar Abzera, Amar Abchizda, like Kasha Ramera Harabiuda. There's actually a machlekes about this. That's how we resolve this problem. Say that there's two opinions. Okay, the Tanya was taught in a brisa. Kasav l'rishon v'leichas malay, b'sheni v'chas malay, ibdik subasa divrei meir. If there was a sale of one of the fields, she refused to sign it, or does not agree to the sale. Okay. Doesn't matter, he sold it. But it wasn't hers. Well, Lashani sold another field, and the Chosmalay, and that she did sign to. Ibn Ksubasa, she loses her Ksuba. Divrei Meir, that's what Reb Meir says. What's going on? Why does she lose the Ksuba? Because the first purchaser, says, when I bought that field, I know you didn't agree to it, but I don't care if you agree, because I left you a property that you could collect your ksuba from. I didn't buy the husband's last property. It was enough for you to take the ksuba from. Comes to the last property, she agreed to the last property. She can't say, in this case, I was making my husband happy by agreeing to that. She agreed to it, she lost it. Rabbi Yehuda says, Rabbi Yehuda says that she could say, I was just making my husband happy. What do you want from me? Okay. That's the case, then we can explain that our Mishnah is the opinion of her mayor, where a woman cannot say, and we have it all worked out. Why does it work in our Mishnah when she tells the purchaser, that I'm not going to claim against the sale that my husband made? It's because she can't say that I was making my husband happy. That's the view of her man. Now the Gemara says, but one second, there's a problem here. Rabbi Sassam lahacha k'Rab Meir v'Sassam lahasam k'Rab Yehuda. Our Mishnah seems to go anonymously like Reb Meir. The only problem is that in Masechtas Gittin, where we said lakach minish v'chazal lakach minish and mekhay batal, we said that the sale's off. Over there, it was following Rabbi Yehuda, where a woman can say nachas rachas yisrael l'bayli. So when Rabbi said the Mishnah anonymously, he doesn't put a name in. It means that's the way he holds. So in Masechtas Kesubos, he follows Reb Meir. In Masechtas Gittin, he follows Rabbi Yehuda. That's a contradiction. Rabbi can't hold like both. What does the woman have the power to say that what I said earlier was not wholeheartedly? I was just trying to make my husband happy. Amar Rav Papa, so Rav Papa says, Begrusha v'divrei hakol. Our Mishnah is not talking about while she's married. Our Mishnah is talking about that she's divorced already. And of course, when she's divorced, she has no interest in making her husband happy. And she just didn't collect the ksuba. And she's telling the seller, not the seller, the seller's her husband, she's telling the purchaser, I'm not going to claim anything against you.
Rabbi,
Yeah.
we've had so many cases where the wife agrees to give up her ksuba partially or completely. Couldn't she say, I'm just doing that to make my husband happy?
Those were when she was most of those cases was she was asking for payment of her ksuba earlier than when it was. So her ksuba was partially paid. And then she's trying to claim everything afterwards. But for her husband to sell the property that was meant to go to her in the ksuba, and then for them to say that she agreed to that, she can say that she didn't really agree.
But we had a case where she said, "Oh, I agreed to waive my ksuba, even though she didn't. You already paid me." Even though she wasn't ever paid.
Uh-huh. We had a mecheles, right? We had a mecheles ksubasa. The only thing I can guess maybe, is that here she sees that the husband is trying to sell a property, and she's the only thing in the way. So she says I'll step out to allow my husband to go through with this. And so for that, we say that she didn't really agree. I don't know. But over here, she's divorced. So according to our Papa, here she's divorced. After she's divorced, her statement is binding. Yeah. While she's alive, her statement is not binding. Well, not while she's alive. While she's married, her statement is not binding, at least according to Rabbi Yehuda. Rav Ashi Amar Kula Rab Meir. Rav Ashi says not that they're going to go like Rabbi Yehuda when they're married. They're really going to go like Rab Meir. Bad kan like Rab Meir hasam al Mishnei Lekuchas. Damle Yisa Denach Drucha Abdis Lekama Baile Lameber. Abel Berkech Echad Afilu Rab Meir Meida must listen the cost of lay la'acher. Rav Ashi explains like this, that the case of Rab Meir, where she doesn't sign on the first, she doesn't sign to the first sale, but then she signs to the second sale. So Reb Meir says that sale, she cannot claim nachas that I was just making my husband happy. Now, the reason why she can't do that is because why did the first sale was she so non-compliant? In the second sale, she just says, "Yeah, no problem."
Because she knows she had property from the first sale. He covered herself.
Yeah, but it's really the opposite, because by the first sale, she still has a property remaining. That's the one that she should have agreed to, and that's the one that she doesn't agree to. The first sale, she doesn't agree to. The second sale, when there's nothing left, then she all of a sudden agrees to it. So we see that she's not just being compliant with her husband, she contested the first sale.
That was his sickness.
No. Lokach mini ish. No, what's the case? Custom l'rishon v'lechasmala. So the first case was the case where we have the machlekes Reb Meir and Rabbi Yehuda, that the husband writes a document to the first one and she refuses to sign it. That means she's non-compliant with she contests the first sale.
So she still has property.
But she still has another property, and nevertheless, she still contest the first sale. No, she didn't have to contest it. She has another property. Then when it comes to the second property that he sells, she says, oh yeah, no problem. Obviously that there's something else going on. It's not just he's trying to make her husband happy. So if that's the case, that's when Reb Meir says that we don't say Nachas Rachas Yisrael L'Bailim. What happens? What's going on in our Mishnah? Our Mishnah is are the two sales in our Mishnah. In our Mishnah, there must have been another sale somewhere.
Yeah.
That's what it must have been. It must have been another sale, and that's why it's gonna work out. Okay. How does this resolve the question? We're gonna follow Reb Meir, and we're gonna say that in Gittin, the sale's over because it was only one sale. And we think that she's just being nice to her husband. But in Mesechtes Kesubos, there was two sales, and we know that she's not being nice to her husband because she wasn't nice to her husband with the first sale. So the second sale was because she actually agreed to it. Okay. Tanan Hassam. It's taught in the Mishnah. If it comes to payment of a debt, if the debtor has property, even if it's not great property, you can't go to the purchasers and take away the better property that the person sold, because there still is free property, the property that wasn't sold yet by the debtor himself, even if it's ziburis, even if it's a low quality.
So their claim is really towards money.
Right. Iboilo, they have a question now. Let's say the property that's remaining got ruined. I made it up. It's the creditor and the debtor. I guess so. Is that true? Is that a word? Debtor? The one in debt, what's he called the debtor? Debtor.
Don't say it to you.
With the D. Okay.
By the way, the last 2 years, I don't think so. No one ever come on these lawyers, right? One like 5 years, because every case that we've learned where someone's had more than one wife.
Okay.
Today, now they should think if you want to talk to what it's going to then you want to talk to do it. Life is easier.
Okay, so the question is like this. If the person that owes money has property, even like he sold property, that's even better. But the creditors cannot take away this from the purchasers. They have to go to the person himself, take whatever property he has left, even though it's not the best quality. Let's say what's left, it's not that it's not just the best quality, but it's actually ruined. When the purchasers bought the property, they said, we left you property. Why are you coming to us? We were very careful when we purchased that there was still property remaining by the debtor. Turns out that as careful as they were, but that property that they left by the debtor got ruined. So can they now go and take away? Can the creditors come and take away from the purchased property?
Didn't you mention somebody with the wife that
we were always concerned that she won't take care of it, right? Yeah, let's see. So it says like this: Tashma kasav l'rishon v'lei chas malai. He wrote a document to the first purchaser, but she refused to sign it. L'sheni, document to the second purchaser, b'chas malai, and she does agree to sign it. Ibdik subasa, she loses her ksuba. Divrei Meir. 1 second. She doesn't agree to the. She agrees to the later field, but she didn't agree to the earlier field. Now, the fact that she agreed to the later one messed up her whole claim. She's losing her ksuba because of that. If we would say that if the remaining field gets ruined, which that's what's happening here, if the remaining field gets ruined, why does it get ruined? Because of her action. But whatever the case is, Taraf Mishabdi, that you could take away from the earlier field, from the one that was sold. I know that she lost the second field because she agreed to it, but she should go back to the first one. Now, when she never agreed to it, she should be able to collect from that. It was sold already. It must be that that's not the rule, that you can't go back and collect from an earlier one. If the field that's remaining is ruined, it's the person's loss, the creditor's loss. The wife here is the creditor. Oh, the husband owes her money, owes her the ksuba. And meanwhile, he's selling off property. So if she gave permission to sell it, I mean, she's giving up her rights to it. Amar Rava, I'm sorry, I skipped the line. Amar Rav Nachman Yitzchak, my Ivda. What does it mean that she loses the ksuba? If the Misheni, she can't collect from the second one, but she can go back and collect from the first one. That means that if the field gets ruined, yeah, you can go back and take from the field that was sold already. When it says she loses the ksuba, it doesn't mean she loses it. It means she loses the rights from the second one because she agreed. Amar Rava says, it's not accurate. Is Rava a teacher of Nachman bar Yitzchak? Teacher, a friend. It's two problems. First of all, when it says that she loses the ksuba, it sounds like she loses it, not that she just loses the rights from the second field. It sounds like she loses it entirely. And also, Tanya, we have a brisa. He was a teacher. Someone borrows from one person, and then he sells his property to two different people. Now remember, let's put some names to this. We have Ruvain borrows money from Shimon. Then he sells two fields. Ruvain sells two fields to Levi and Yehuda. Now Shimon goes to Yehuda. Shimon can really take the fields away from him because Ruvain owes the money. Take the fields away from Levi and Yehuda. But Yehuda goes to Shimon and says, Shimon goes to Yehuda and he says, don't worry, I know you just purchased the field. Don't worry, I'm not going to take it away from you. He can't go to the Lekeach Rishon either. He can't go to the Levi. Because Levi will say, I left you a field to collect from. I was careful what I purchased. What are we seeing over here? That even though the field later, Yehuda's field, is considered ruined because Shimon can't collect from there, but he can't go back to collect from. He can't collect from the field previously. He can't collect from Levi's field.
The sale was not guaranteed. That was.
Well, yeah, so what's happening there is a follow-up case where Shimon and where Levi and Yehuda are going to go back to moving and say, you owe me money because we bought fields that weren't really the follow-up case. But meanwhile, Shimon himself wants to get those fields right now. He wants to get from Yehuda, but he can't because he already said that Yehuda he's not going to claim anything from it. So he wants to get from Levi. Levi said, you can't take from me. When I bought it, I left you a field. And that seems to be the rule.
Why is that?
There must have been a Kenyan. Din Advar. Yeah, that's how we started. The Gemara started out. Just Din Advar mainly would only work if there was a Kenyan. Gemara says now that it's all of this is not really true because Hasam Yud Absida and Nafshebi Adayim. But there's two ways of reading this Gemara. It's either Rabba himself that's agreeing to this, or it's the Gemara that's saying this. The example is not a good example. We're talking about when Shimon himself gives up his rights to the field that Yehuda bought. And we're saying, look, the field got ruined. Now we can't go back to collect from Levi's field. Yeah, because he was the one that ruined it. He's the one that said, I'm not going to collect. And the same thing with the wife. The wife said, the wife signed to the second field. That was a good sale. That doesn't prove anything about if a field would have gotten ruined on its own. Here, he ruined his own field. So we're telling him he can't go back to get the earlier one. Levi, the field that Levi purchased is a complete sale. It is a complete sale. But if he wouldn't have said anything, Levi purchased the field. There's a field left. Yehuda doesn't buy anything, and the field is there, and it just gets flooded and ruined. I don't know, whatever sinkhole. It's ruined. Then he insect. All right, like what does the Gemara say? Shtadav. I thought that meant like flooded or something. So whatever the case is, then you would be able to go back to the earlier one because that was not something that he caused. He didn't damage himself. That was something that just happened. And go back and take from Levi's field. Amalei Rav Yemer Ravashi. Yemer says to Ravashi, "Ma'asim b'chol yom." We have stories every day. The Hu Gavra is a person that the Mishkan le Pardisa lechavre. What happened over here? Someone owed money. So in order to pay it back, he gives a collateral of an orchard. Now the person's going to eat the fruits of that orchard and slowly pay off the debt. Right? The creditor will eat the fruits. The only problem is he gave it for 10 years. The cash and it got old after 5 years. And now it's not giving the fruits that it used to. It comes to the field got old, the orchard. It's not producing the same way. So they came to the Rabbanim because of Tirfa, and they wrote for him that he can go take away a field from one of the purchasers. See, field gets ruined. That was supposed to be what he was going to collect from. And he can go back and take from someone else that had purchased the field already earlier. Yeah, apparently this was not, they weren't, get on and replace them. But in this case, he doesn't. Right. And now he's going to be able to take a field itself. So Maybe, yeah. Also, well, to take that field wouldn't be telling you anything. He just wants to own a property. He wants to get its value. So the Gemara says, "Hasam nami inu da'afsidu anafshayu." But what is it? Inhu they ruin themselves. Given Daviyadi the Pradisa of it, the Kish Mizban. What happened over here is that there were purchasers that purchased this mashka, this collateral. There were people that purchased the field off the debtor, and
Okay, she's gonna get it back.
while because which they would get in 10 years, because meanwhile all the produce is going to the creditor. So what we're saying here, you see, they can take the field away. Now the Gemara is giving the opposite. These guys that bought the field, they're the ones that messed up, because they should have realized, given the Padesa of the Kish, they never should have bought a field that only has a 5-year lifespan, and then complain about it. They knew that the guy is only going to get 5 years worth, and he's supposed to get 10 years worth, and they're going to lose out. The halacha is a shtad that if the field that's remaining is ruined, then they could take away from the sold fields, from the purchased fields. Assuming that the other fields that he had were sold already, then he can go and take those fields. Amar Abaya. Abaya says, "Nichsi lach b'acharecha lepleni." This is not the nicest expression, but he says, "My possessions go to you, but after you die, it's going to go to someone else." He's telling this to a single girl, and he's not marrying her. He's just telling her, "You can keep my possessions or my field or whatever it is, but I have plans for it after you die." That's what he tells her. Well, Vamda Vanessa, she then goes and gets married. Yeah, to someone else. Baal lekechabi ve'in lacharechem makam baal klum. So it's as if she sold it off, and now no one gets it later, because while she had it 100%, and so she sold it. She had full rights to sell it. Now it doesn't leave her. Come on, who does that follow? That the husband is considered the lekeach, and now no one else gets it. Ki haitanya, like it was taught in this brisa, the Tanya nichsilach b'acharech lepleni. It says that he's giving possessions to one person, but he has plans for it after that person dies. Yarda rishon amacher, if the first person sells it, hasheni mitzvah miyad al hakuchas. This person that was supposed to get it second takes it away from the purchaser. That's Divrei Rebbe. That's what Rebbe holds. Reb Shimon ben Gamliel says that's not so. The second person does not get anything. The second person will only get what the first person left over, which is nothing.
But if something was given and it's not. Why can't I say, well, we did this.
Right.
We could lend someone or gift someone this or something else. That the man goes back to. It's so constant. The moment they finish the bracha, and grants the answer, the Lord says, "No, it's mine." It's not finished. To give it back to me.
Right. What was the case over there in the Gemara where they had They're on a boat. One person had an esrog, and had an esrog. Gives it to someone. And he gave it to someone else. He gave it to someone else. And then Rabbi Akiva gave it back. Right, so come out somewhere. So he had to give it back. But meanwhile, even though it's Matan Al-Manasseh, but he was able to give it to the other people in the interim. It just didn't have to get back to him after. Umar says, what do you have to tell me? Rabbi Akiva gave it back. It's going to tell you that Matan Al-Manasseh was.
He's the husband, he took on the wife.
Yeah.
It's a question.
Good question.
Saying
Exactly. Exactly that.
the principle is very difficult to apply outside of that context.
You have to do it. There's different ways of looking at this. Right. You can do it, yeah, but there's different ways of looking at this. One of the ways could be that it's being given to her 100% for this amount of time, and she can avoid what's going to happen to it afterwards because of the sale that she made. Because that's the sale is binding. The only question is, how is she able to sell more than she actually owns?
Or you can say anything, well, as long as she's alive. Whatever.
Right.
Right.
Revert
Yeah.
back.
Sounds like a lease.
Yeah. The Gemara here is making it look like, well, it's saying that if the husband is considered a purchaser, so then that sale is binding. If he would be an inheritor, then it wouldn't be binding, because then it would just be as her herself. For some reason, the sale is stronger than just an inheritor. So whatever the case is, we have now a bias is going to be following the rule of is the opinion of Rav Shimon ben Gamliel that says that the sale is a good sale, not like Rebbe. Yeah. Over here, we're saying it is final. Oh, that's what you're saying.
Even if you do a title,
Right, right. What's the problem? Right. It's a problem. It's a good point. Hear what he's asking?
Why?
Right. 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 It's a problem. No, that's why they were trying to avoid this. But at the same time, they don't want the people that borrow money should be left without being paid back. So that's the right. Right. Now the Gemara asks, "Mi Amar Abaye, Hachi, does Abaye really say that the second person that the sale gets a good sale and it doesn't go to the second person? Amar Abaye is a Rosh Aram, who's considered a Aram sounds like a clever, wicked person. This is someone that gives the advice to sell a field that he has temporarily so that it doesn't go to the second person. And Abaya says this is a Russia. It's a wicked person. Are you telling me this is Abaya's opinion?
That's another point.
Right.
So he basically.
No, he was saying that if someone advises someone to do this, that's right. Jimmy was saying the rule. And Abai was saying, what's a wicked person? Someone that gives someone advice to behave like this. The Gemara says, Mikamar Tinase. Did he say that she should get married? Nistis Kamar. He only said that she did get married. No one was advising. It's exactly what Rav Shimon ben Gamliel said, that if she does get married, that would be the rule. And now we have another case. Amar Abaya. Nichsilach v'acharecha leplaini umachra umesa. My possessions that go to you, and afterwards it'll go to someone else. And then she sold it and she died. Here, that's really the story because it's the same story, right? The only thing is over here, Habal Maitzim Yad Lakuchas. The husband can take it away from the purchaser. Why does the husband get it? He's the first purchaser. He's considered the first purchaser because he married her, and he's more than an inheritor. He's considered like a purchaser. Va'acharecha miyad baal. Remember the person that gave it to this woman? He said that after she dies, it's going to go to someone else. Well, she died. So after it comes out of the purchaser from the into the husband's hand, now the second person that's supposed to get it takes it away from the husband. And the purchaser takes it away from the person that was supposed to get it because he came before that other person showed up. But at the end, we're just going to leave it in the hands of the purchaser. Now, Abaya said differently before. So what's going on over here? Why over here? Before he said that the sale is final. Here we're saying that no, the husband can take it away, and this, and then the acharecha comes and takes it away. The answer is the Gemara is going to say soon that before we were talking about a single woman that was getting married, and over here we're talking about a married woman that it was given to. Right. Until she dies. While she's alive, the husband has the rights for this.
His hair.
Yeah.
Same stuff. That control what happens.
Right. That was a special takana. That he was able to affect the Yerusha. And it says, "My son had the town." What's the difference from what it was taught? The Chayzus Chalila, she has a pshara b'neim. Over there, we said in the Mishnah, we said that it's going to go around in a circle. This one's going to take it away from this one. It's going to take it away from this one. Remember when she agreed that she won't have a claim again? So they said, well, they have to make some sort of agreement. And over here, we just said no. We put it by the lekeya. It says over there were people that were purchasing, and there was a wife that wasn't getting her ksuba. Everyone was losing out, so they had to make an agreement. But over here, it was just a gift. There's only one person that's really losing here, and that's the purchaser because he paid money. So we're going to keep it by the purchaser. Also, Rafram Amal Shmait Chamid Ravashi. Rafram went. He said this halacha over to Ravashi. Says, "Mi Amar Rabaya Hachi." Did Abaya really say this? From Rabaya, Nichsi Lach Ba'Charech LaPlani Amda B'Nesses Balakeh Chavim LaCharech Makam Bal Klum. the two statements of Abaya are contradictions. First statement of Abaya says that the person that was giving it to another person after they passed away, after this woman passed away, gets nothing because the husband was considered a purchaser. Second statement of Abaya says that the person that was the second person that's getting it will take it away from the husband. Over there, she was a single girl. Here he's telling it to her when she's married. What does she mean? What does he mean over here? He's saying, I'm giving it to you, not to your husband. So notice he was clearly avoiding the fact that in the first case, he was not avoiding what's going to happen when she gets married. He was just giving it to her, not realizing that she's going to get married, that whole statement's going to be up. But over here, when he's giving it to her while she is married, he's saying, I'm giving it to you, not to your husband. That means after she dies, it's supposed to go to someone else. We're back to the Mishnah. What was this case with the Baal Chayv? We said it's the same story. What happened over there is that if she told the second purchaser that I'm not going to take you to court, so then the first purchaser, she can take it from. First purchaser takes from the second purchaser, and it goes around until they make a deal. Okay, let's go further. Okay. I think it's supposed to be named. No, he means lice. I think they're gonna. I'm not sure how they're gonna do Lula Benesri. They're gonna wear a talent. Talent's been filling at the same time. Okay, let's see over here. It says Almana Nizainis Minixi assignment. A widow is supported by the property of the orphans. My Siyadeh and the work of her hands, her income belongs to the orphans. But they don't need to bury her. They don't have to pay for the burial. Who does have to pay for the burial? Only the people that are inheriting the ksuba, they have to pay for the burial. The Gemara is a question. What does it mean? The Mishnah says that a widow is sustained from the property of the orphans. It doesn't. The estate.
Hopefully, these are not your kids.
It's the estate of the husband's estate.
But
So,
hopefully, these are not your kids.
right.
These are kids of number two.
Right. So, what does it mean? Does it mean that was the scenario, or that it happens to be that she's being sustained, or Nizainis Tanan, she is sustained? What's the difference? Nizainis Tanan, she is sustained. The Kanshi Galil. We're talking about the opinion of the people of the Galilee that they have no way out. They have to sustain her. Or maybe it means that the case happens to be that they are sustaining her. Why? Kanshi Yehuda, they have a way out. If they want, they can give her ksuba and say that you're not part of this estate anymore. That's Machlekes Galil and Yehuda. If they can, on their own initiative, give it. If she claims the ksuba, then she's out. But if she doesn't claim it, can they impose it on her? And then they'd stop supporting her. That's the opinion of Yehuda. But they just give her all the money and then the case is closed. Or the opinion of the Galil, where no, they have to keep sustaining her until she claims the ksuba or gets married. She can live off the estate for indefinitely.
Until she has a choice.
Yeah. And in the opinion of Yehuda, they have a choice. Okay, Tashimasa, come and listen. I'm Reb Zeir, I'm a Shmuel. Reb Zeir says, name of Shmuel, Metzias Alman Alatzma. she keeps what she finds. A widow. If we say that it happens to be that she was being supported, but really the inheritors could have got her out of the estate shopper, then we understand why she keeps what the objects that she finds, because we're talking about where she already took the ksuba. They got rid of her. Why is the estate not like her husband? Just like if there's a husband, anything that she finds goes to the husband. If they have to support her, it should, what she finds and her income should belong to the inheritors. That's how it worked with the husband. Mar says, I understand really I could tell you that no, they have to support her. Why does what she finds go to the husband? Because there should be no conflict between them. But over here we don't mind if there's a conflict, because we're imposing on them anyway. We know they don't want to support her. We're imposing on them that they have to support her. We're not concerned about this hatred that they may come up over there. Wouldn't be right that she has all of this money because she found won the lottery, and she found the treasure, and meanwhile the husband has to support her. So we say what she finds belongs to the husband. But over here, there's no friendship really anyway. Rabbi Yesi Bar Chanina says, he was an early Amir in Eretz Yisrael. Everything that a woman does for her husband, which is like spinning the wool and all of that, she brings an income, a widow does for the inheritors. Doesn't have to do those things that bring closeness, which is pouring the cup of wine, or making the bed, preparing the bed, washing his hands. That she doesn't have to do for the inheritance. That's just for the husband. I'm Rabbi Shua ben Levi. Talmud Shua ben Levi says anything that a slave does for his master, the student does for the teacher. Except for untying the shoe. The student doesn't have to do that. I say that's only where they don't recognize that it's the student. I say less than but if everyone knows this is the student, they're going to know that he's not a slave. They don't want him to look like a slave. So then that's not a problem. You can even untie the shoe. I say nami, even if no one knows him, that's only if he's not wearing tefillin. But if he's wearing tefillin, then it's no problem, because a slave doesn't wear tefillin. And they see him with tefillin, they know he's not a slave. Yeah, well, a Jewish slave does, but unless there's a detail there that I'm not familiar with. This is talking about a non-Jewish slave. Yeah. Well, Amar Chia Barabba, Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Chia Barabba says the name of Rabbi Yochanan. Anyone that stops the student from serving him, he's stopping from him kindness. I'm not sure how the Gemara is learning this. Lamas sounds like melt. It's removing the kindness from him. I'm not sure how it's learned. Many years is also removing from him the fear of heaven. The fear of God he's forsaking. Rabbi Lazar says, let's say the widow goes ahead and grabs personality because of her sustenance. We know that there's an issue. She's supposed to take land for the ksuba, not personality. But here, it's not the ksuba. Here, it's for sustenance, for the food. Rabbi Lazar says, Masha tapsa, what she took is taken. What she took is taken. Tanya Nami Hachi, we have a brayso almanash tapsa metaltums and say Masha tapsa. It's taken. V'chein kiyasa Rav Dimi Amar, Maisa b'kalas Yisrael Reb Shabsi, the daughter-in-law of Reb Shabsi. She tapsa daski amalei amais. She grabbed a sack full of money. The sages couldn't get it out of her, couldn't take it away from her. They didn't have the power to take, because she took it for sustenance. Ravina says that's only for sustenance. But for the ksuba, we will take it away from her. What are you telling me? That for the ksuba, you don't let her take personality. But for sustenance, you do let her What's the difference? The ksuba is supposed to come from land. The sustenance is supposed to come from land. If what you take for sustenance is taken, so too for the ksuba. Amalei Rav Yitzchak bar Naftali. Well, the Ravina. Achi Amrina and Mishmei the Rabba Kavasech. That's what it says in the name of Rabba like you. Which is, I guess that the same thing would apply. That's what he takes for the ksuba is the same. Let's leave it over here. Yeah, good night, everyone.